Good morning, Virgo. Let me be honest with you before anything else. The title of this reading makes a promise I'm not going to keep. Not because I want to disappoint you, but because keeping it would require me to manufacture something, to construct a version of extraordinary that sounds compelling and lands with emotional weight and ultimately says nothing true about your actual life. And after everything we've explored together across these readings, all the real things, the honest things, the descriptions of what it actually feels like to be you moving through your life, you deserve more than that. So let me start differently. Something significant is happening in your life right now, not unprecedented in the history of human experience, but genuinely significant for you specifically, for the particular version of you that exists at this specific point in your life. Carrying what you're carrying, having been through what you've been through, arriving at this moment with everything the preceding period has produced in you. And in that specificity, it is in the ways that actually matter, something that has never happened quite like this before. Because it's never been you before. Not this version, not this particular configuration of growth and clarity and hard-won understanding that you've arrived at through everything this period has asked. That's the real extraordinary, not a cosmic event, a human one, yours. Let me describe what's actually happening. Because I think the honest picture is more interesting than anything I could manufacture. You're at a threshold, not the first threshold of your life. You've crossed others, some of them significant, some of them genuinely difficult. But this particular one has a quality that distinguishes it from the ones that came before. You know you're at it. That's the distinction. Previous thresholds were often recognized in retrospect. You crossed them and then, looking back, understood what that crossing had been, what it represented, what changed on the other side. This one you can feel in real time. Not perfectly, not with complete clarity about what's on the other side, but with enough awareness that you know in the specific body level way that genuine knowing operates, that something is different about this moment, about this particular configuration of your life. That awareness is not common. Most people move through significant moments without registering their significance until afterward. You're registering it now. And that present tense awareness, that specific Virgo capacity for perceiving what's actually happening while it's happening, is both a gift and its own particular kind of intensity. Hold on, because I want to address something about the scary quality in the title, since I think it's pointing at something real, even if the framing around it was inflated. Thresholds are frightening, not because bad things are coming, because significant change, even positive significant change, even change you've been moving toward and working for and privately hoping would arrive, requires leaving something behind. And leaving things behind, even things that weren't fully serving you, even things you're genuinely ready to move past, has a cost. The specific, slightly irrational grief of saying goodbye to a version of your life, of a chapter genuinely closing, of the particular version of yourself that inhabited that chapter being not lost but evolved past, no longer the primary version. That's real. And it deserves acknowledgement as real. Not dramatized, not inflated, just named. The fear you might be feeling isn't a warning signal. It's the honest response of someone who understands that what's coming matters. There's an image I keep coming back to, not a dramatic one, a quiet one, someone standing at the edge of a body of water, not an ocean, something crossable, something that requires intention and some courage but isn't beyond you. And they've been standing at the edge for a while, long enough to understand the crossing, long enough to have examined it from different angles, long enough to have almost gone in several times before pulling back. And now something has changed in the quality of standing at the edge, not in the water, not in the crossing, in the person standing there. A readiness has arrived that wasn't there before. Not certainty. Certainty isn't required for genuine readiness, but a specific felt sense of this is the moment. Not because the conditions are perfect, because I am. You're the one who has changed. The crossing hasn't changed. You have. The more I sit with this, the more I keep finding something I want to name carefully. The unprecedented quality of this moment isn't about what's happening externally. It's about who's experiencing it. Because here's what's genuinely true and genuinely remarkable about where you are. You've done the work, not some of it. Not the convenient parts, the whole unglamorous, mostly invisible, nobody gave you a trophy for it work of becoming more fully yourself, of processing what needed processing, of releasing what needed releasing, of arriving gradually and without ceremony at a version of yourself that is more honest, more grounded, more genuinely present than any previous version. And that arrival, that specific, earned, completely yours arrival, changes what's possible, not in a magical sense, in the most practical sense, because what you can receive is determined by who you are when it arrives. And who you are right now is someone who can receive something real, fully, without immediately deflecting it or minimizing it or processing it into something more manageable before it's had time to actually land. That capacity for genuine, full, unmanaged receiving is new for you specifically, and it changes what's possible. Wait. I want to go somewhere specific here because I've been describing what's happening in you, and I want to describe what that internal shift is going to produce externally. Things are going to start responding differently to you, and I mean that in the most grounded, least mystical way possible. When you change internally, when the quality of how you hold yourself, how you communicate, what you're willing to accept and what you're not, what you put out into the interactions and relationships and situations of your ordinary life, the external environment responds to that change. Not immediately, not all at once, gradually, but measurably. People around you are going to notice something without being able to name it, are going to find themselves responding to you differently without understanding why, are going to feel something in your presence that they find compelling in a way that your previous version didn't produce in the same way. Not because you're performing anything, because you've stopped, because the energy that was going into management and presentation and the maintenance of a version of yourself calibrated for external consumption has been freed up, is available now for genuine presence. And genuine presence is the most compelling thing a person can offer. I want to talk about something specific that's coming not with false precision, not with the kind of date and detail certainty that sounds impressive and means nothing, but with honesty about what I keep feeling when I sit with your energy in this window. A recognition from a direction you might not be watching. Someone or something, a situation, an opportunity, a convergence of circumstances that sees you in the new form, in the version of yourself that has emerged from everything this period has produced, and responds to that version with something that the previous version might not have attracted. Because the previous version, as genuine as it was, had certain things obscured, had certain qualities muted by the weight of what it was carrying. And the current version has put some of that weight down, and what's visible now is different, more fully itself, more clearly what you actually are. And what you actually are is remarkable in the honest, grounded, no inflation required sense of the word. There's something about the love dimension of this that keeps surfacing, and I want to address it because I think the significant thing approaching has a relational quality to it. Not necessarily a new person, though for some of you it might be. For others, it's a deepening, a shift in something existing, a moment where a connection that has been developing reaches a point of genuine declaration. Whatever the specific form, the quality is the same, being seen fully, accurately in the new version by someone who has been close enough to watch the becoming, who has some version of the before picture, and who, in encountering the current version, finds something that produces in them a response they can't continue to hold internally. That response is coming toward you from someone who knows what they're responding to. Not a projection, not an idealization, an actual recognition of the actual you. And that kind of recognition genuinely is something that hasn't happened quite this way before, because this version of you is new. And new things, when they're seen clearly for the first time, produce first-time responses, even in people who thought they already knew you. I want to say something about fear and excitement, because they're physiologically almost identical. The racing heart, the heightened awareness, the specific quality of attention that arrives when something significant is present, those things exist in both. And we distinguish between them primarily through interpretation, through the story we tell about what the feeling means. Fear says something threatening is coming. Excitement says something significant is coming. The feeling itself is largely the same. And right now, whatever you're feeling in relation to this threshold, this moment, this something is different about now quality, it's the second one. Even if it's presenting as the first, even if the body is using the language of anxiety to describe what is actually the physical experience of being alive to your own life in a way you haven't been for a while, that aliveness isn't scary. It's what it feels like to be genuinely present at a significant moment. The last thing, I said at the beginning that I wasn't going to keep the title's promise, that nothing happening to you has literally never happened to anyone before. And that's true. But let me say what is true. What's happening to you right now, this specific convergence of who you've become, what you've been through, what's arriving, and your capacity to receive it. This has never happened to this particular person before, to you, in this exact configuration of experience and growth and timing, and that specificity is not nothing. is actually the only thing that ever really matters. Not the unprecedented in the cosmic sense, the unprecedented in the personal sense. The moment that is yours alone. That could only happen to you because it requires exactly who you are to receive it, exactly what you've been through to be ready for it, exactly this timing to mean what it means. That moment is here, or close enough to here that the distance is irrelevant. And you, the specific, particular, entirely real version of you that exists right now, are more ready for it than any title could adequately describe. If something in this touched something true, if a moment landed somewhere honest, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Tell me what resonated, even just a few words. It means more than you know.